the United States launched a trade war against Canada.
You know, we mean more to them than they mean to us. We're a much larger part of their economy than they are ours.
Here we go again, another trade war between the United States and Canada. So in this video, we will go over all of the most recent meltdowns surrounding this trade war. I also have one of the best mic drop moments you will ever see in political history. Oh, and by the way, Democrats are now turning on one another because of how they acted during Trump's speech at Congress. We will go over that as well. Now, before we start the video, please like the video. It's literally the #1 way you can help this channel, and it helps others see the videos as well. Let us begin.
We're going to choose to not go on vacation in Florida, or we're going to choose to try to buy Canadian products and forego bourbon and other classic American products. And yeah, we're probably going to keep booing the American anthem.
Alright, I'm going to warn you right now, you are about to witness one of the most insane mic drop moments I have ever seen from any politician. Get ready for this one from Ron DeSantis.
We continue to set tourism records. 2024 saw more than 142 million visitors come to the state of Florida. This includes 3.3 million visitors from Canada. That's not much of a boycott in my book. Maybe they wanted to get a glimpse of what a Stanley Cup winning hockey team actually looks like.
Alright, so here's what's going on. Donald Trump put tariffs on Canada because according to Donald Trump, Canada is not doing a good enough job of stopping illegal substances from flowing into the United States from the Canadian border.
I think multiple things can be true. Number one, I do think it's about immigration. The president's been clear about that from the beginning and has never wavered from it. Number two, he does like tariffs for economic reasons. And I would just say to Canada, you know, we mean more to them than they mean to us. We're a much larger part of their economy than they are ours. And number three, there's some evidence that this tariff business is working.
Now, here's where things are getting interesting, because we actually have some Canadians who are trying to gain statehood from the United States.
There's statehood. Well, there's a group of Albertans that are working together right now to put together a delegation to go to Washington to talk to the Trump administration about Alberta petitioning for U.S. statehood. It's quite evident that we're being governed by idiots in Ottawa who don't understand that we can't afford a trade war with our largest trading partner.
Now, what's interesting about this trade war between Canada and the United States, you have Canadian politicians who are just straight up generalizing Canadians and saying, we are all mad, we all stand together.
How upset, how mad are Canadians? Canadians aren't usually the types to get angry, but how mad are Canadians this morning?
They're absolutely livid. They're furious because we look at the United States as our family. We're one big family. We've stood shoulder to shoulder in wars and every other crisis there is.
Now again, I want to point out, even though we are calling this a trade war, this is all happening because of the lackluster security or the inability to stop the flow of illegal substances coming in from Canada into the United States.
Right. Well, respectfully, this is not a trade war. It's a drug war. And with all of the intelligence that we've been gathering from our intelligence agencies and our investigative people at the FBI and elsewhere, the president is extraordinarily disappointed in the actions the Canadians and Mexicans have taken to fight the drug war.
Now, I did the work for you and I found the most recent data. I even put in northern border representing Canada, and essentially what you're seeing are data points from 2023 to 2025 representing every single month the amount of weight captured from Canada into the United States as far as illegal substances. Essentially, because we're only in March now, we have October, November, December, January. But when you look at 2025, these numbers are pretty much higher than 2024 and 2023 numbers. Essentially, when you stop and look at the graph, Donald Trump is correct. It looks like Canada has not really been trying that hard or not doing enough work to stop the illegal substances coming in from Canada into the United States.
What we would love to do is we'd love to have Governor Trudeau work with us on the northern border and help solve that issue. We would love to have Mexico work with us and solve that issue. Why they don't want to and why they're allowing cartels to openly work in their countries, flowing the illegal activities to us, is the bigger question. Why are they allowing that to take place?
Not sure if you calling him Governor Trudeau was intentional, since Donald Trump often calls it the 51st state.
100%, Casey.
All right.
Now look, you can leave your comments and opinions down below how you feel about all of this, but Canada really does seem to be playing into the, we're your brothers, we are your neighbors, we have fought in conflicts together, why are you doing this to us? But as you can see, I showed you the data, and it can definitely be a little compelling when you look at all the numbers.
Simone,
can we talk about it?
The bingo signs were killing me. I don't know who thought up the bingo signs, but they should be fired.
Now, shifting over from the trade wars into the cringe wars, it's a very rare moment in history when even MSNBC is calling out how ridiculous it was to hold up these signs during the Trump speech to Congress.
This is an indictment, in my opinion, on the Democratic leadership. I talked to a lot of members during they was texting. The staff were on my phones and they were calling. And I think the best way to describe it is the Democratic leadership said they didn't want disruptions and they wanted people to attend and bring a guest, and they wanted, little business as usual, and we're fighting back in other ways. There is a palpable disgust, as Claire said, from not just the members, but their constituents.
Now, one thing I want to point out is that Democrats have actually been very unified. However, they've been unified in these very odd protests. Unified in scripted videos, unified in holding these signs, unified in a way that nobody really knows who's actually in charge anymore.
The 2028 Democratic primary for president is obviously on. And if that's the best, they have to offer, I mean, look, I don't know who the leader of the Democratic Party is, but I know who runs it. Donald Trump. He runs both parties.
How could anyone possibly be opposed to any of this action that he is taking? Well, apparently, the modern-day Democrat Party could. The behavior of Democrats last night was completely disgraceful and demonstrated how severely out of touch they are with the American public.
Now, on this channel, obviously I'm a little biased, but I do try to give you guys the full picture and perspective from all sides. However, when it comes to this story, and I've said it before, the main storyline is how Democrats acted in a very negative way.
Listen, he up there, he's spewing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't,
Donald Trump's speech last night was appalling. 100 minutes of self-serving bull from a windbag who just wanted to pat himself on the back with lies, misrepresentations.
Now look, it's not me saying that the Democrats are in trouble. It's literally CNN and their statistics pointing out there's a big problem for Democrats trying to convince the American public that everything they did was okay. Check this out.
During the course of the event, which is wanting to get reaction on Congressman Al Green's antics and being ejected. 80% of speech watchers said that the Democratic congressman's interrupting of Trump's speech was inappropriate. Only 20% of speech watchers thought what Green did was appropriate, Aaron.
So as you can see, a lot of Americans were pretty upset with the congressman who decided to protest Donald Trump. And guess what? I have a brand new clip for you where he tries to explain as to why he did what he did.
And I rise to explain why I did what I did. And I did it with intentionality. The president indicated that he had a mandate. I said to the president, you do not have a mandate to cut Medicaid. I have constituents who need Medicaid.
Look, it's not my job to form your opinion, but to me, it did not seem that obvious as to what he was protesting. It really did just come off as him protesting because he did not like Donald Trump. However, speaking of Medicaid, CNN just dropped this new clip.
But who's cutting Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security? We're not taking that away from anybody.
There is a proposal from Republicans
but we're not taking that away from
how
anyone.
could you have voted for the
keep
blueprint?
Using this talking point as a scare tactic. Elon Musk, the president, the House Majority Leader, the Senate Leader, we have not cut anyone's Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare.
How are you cutting $880 billion from the Energy and Commerce Appropriation Committee from the Energy and Commerce Committee unless you cut Medicaid?
Do you think those things are solvent?
Excuse me? Do you think?
Simple question.
Answer my question.
It's a simple financial question.
Do I think
we not need any level of reform?
I'm sorry.
Let
me ask you a question. You're saying we're not cutting Medicaid.
We're not.
We're not.
Where's the legislation that's been passed by Congress, signed by the president, where there are cuts?
What is this budget?
Now, I did not plan this. I just wanted to look up this talking point to give you guys some data, and I looked it up on Google. Donald Trump cutting Medicare or Medicaid. Literally, all the first things that pop up: GOP must cut Medicaid or Medicare to achieve budget goals. Republicans can't meet their own budget. You know, things like that throughout all of the pages. That's just how the media works. But I do want to point out, this is definitely a talking point to use against Donald Trump from the left-leaning media or Democrats, it seems like.
Blueprint that every single Republican.
It's an idea. Everybody has an idea. Julie, that doesn't mean the idea has been actualized.
It's not an idea. It is a blueprnt that they said,
go
ahead.
Tactic, Julie. It's
not a scare tactic.
That's what you're doing right now. It's a scare tactic.
Sure,
you
Michael.
Said, oh, we're making cuts.
Sure, Michael.
Where have the cuts? Why have the cuts occurred?
Why did Congress? Did Congress bother wasting everybody's time voting for a blueprint that said cut $880 billion, from energy and commerce? The only way to achieve that is to cut Medicaid. How are they going to do that?
Unicorns exist. Where have we made the cuts? It's a simple question. Where have we made the cuts? Where and when?
Where and when?
No, where and when have we made the cuts?
You put a blueprint forward to allow Congress to do that. Then why did you waste time doing it? Why?
Okay, where have you made the cuts?
So again, to give you the full picture, Democrats are saying you have to cut Medicare and Medicaid to achieve the budget cuts you are saying you want to achieve. Over on the Republican GOP side, it's just an idea. We don't know what we're going to cut, but it's an idea. Again, you can leave your opinions down below how you feel about it.
The visuals are not taking back the House in 2026. Not these visuals. Where's the signs? Put the signs up, folks,
The dry
please.
erase board with different messages.
Oh my gosh,
you
it
don't
was
think
crazy. Put the paddles up, y'all. Do we have something of the paddles?
Now look, as I said before, I truly think this is a very bad situation for Democrats, even when you have MSNBC stating this is not a good look. I mean, we have a lot of members of government now appearing on TV. I don't know if they're doing damage control, but I'll let the clip speak for itself.
So what do you think is the more effective message, during the speech or after?
And we have to do all of the above. We have to call out Donald Trump on his lies. We have to point out that an unelected oligarch is doing his best to steal America from its people in Elon Musk. We have a complicit Congress that is allowing him to fire thousands of people who should be delivering services to Americans. And he is now starting trade wars to cover for the fact that he has failed to deliver on his day one promises.
Now, this is a rather interesting topic, and believe it or not, actually over on MSNBC, they sort of called out the Democrats for saying, look, if you're only going to have one person stand up and protest and then walk out, and then some of you guys straggle out without being noticed, what is actually happening here?
What should the Democrats have done tonight instead of what they did?
Some of us believe they shouldn't have shown up. Or if they showed up at a certain point, here's the deal. When the congressman was kicked out, half that room should have left with him, because that was the point. He was the only one to stand up and say, I'm not going to sit here and let you lie in this chamber.
Now, something else a lot of people are forgetting, unfortunately for Democrats, they were already setting themselves up for people not taking them serious. Just hours before Democrats walked into that chamber, they were already protesting. They were literally giving the game plan on what they were going to do. Thus, why that news anchor said Republicans were not playing around and why they were ready to kick people out. Democrats literally told everybody what they were going to do.
I would hope we could all be better and go back to a day where there's at least civility, but I think we're past the point of that. So there is going to be some of that tonight. But I would hope when they do that, it's maybe a little bit of booing, a little bit of commenting on the side, murmuring. If it gets into full-blown heckling, I'll predict to you Trump will win that.
I mean, I think that's the thing. It's the optics here and the format is such that whoever is standing behind the rostrum on the floor of the United States Congress, speaking as the President of the United States, carries the weight. And the people who are seated out in the seats are not mic'd. You're not going to be able to hear what they say. And it kind of always winds up making them look small. Even if they're raising a substantive objection, the audience at home can't hear it. They can't see it. So
again, whenever I make these talking points, I always really try to qualify my opinion with what the experts are saying or news anchors, especially appealing from left-leaning news. like CNN. And you saw it for yourselves. You literally had the warnings of, look, if you are a Democrat, just sit there and be quiet, because Americans tend to respect that for the most part. However, it just all fell apart. Again, it's not me saying this is a terrible look for Democrats. It's literally everybody else.
If you're a Democrat and you're being mean to President Trump, I'm on your bumper.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to...
Okay, so I think it's important to remind you guys what also happened that night. When you look up MSNBC on X, there is a ton of dislike for that news organization and somebody called Nicole Wallace. That was the lady who made those comments. And if you don't know the context, once again, she was using a political talking point about a young hero who was made an honorary member of the Secret Service in front of the whole world in the United States. It was a special moment. I definitely teared up, and then I got very angry when I heard that talking point. Nonetheless, I wanted to update you guys. It doesn't look like MSNBC really made any remarks about it or really commented on that statement. I'm sure they'll just act like it never happened. So anyway, if you guys are still watching this video, I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you for everything. We have a lot more work to do. I am reporting on this stuff every single day. God bless you, and we'll see you guys later.